America. I lost my mom a couple of years ago, and since then I have been going through it a lot. So if you have been going through it too, stick around, because today we are going to be making a bag and talking about getting out of bed. Okay, we are ironing, people. Ugh. I decided to talk about getting out of bed as a first video because it's hard at the beginning. And I thought the beginning is a good place to start. I'm 2.5, almost 3 years in to my grief journey. Somehow, time flies when you're having fun. And I think that the first few months are the worst. I actually went to look in my journal from that time because I couldn't remember my day-to-day activities. It's very foggy. It turns out that I did not write much in my journal at that time. I think I have 2 journal entries from the first 3 months. And yeah, I'm going to chalk that up to feeling like garbage. But I remember really wanting to stay in bed. My bed was like the only place that I felt comfortable or safe. I don't know if anyone else feels that, that need to be in a safe space, but I had it big time. I don't know if it had to do with who I lost. I lost my mom, who was my kind of everything, you know, best friend, confidant, you know, just like the foundation of my self-confidence and, like, you know, love for myself and that kind of thing. So with that gone, I kind of felt unsafe, I suppose. So my bed was the safest place for me to be. I remember even before my mom died, even before she got sick, I remember hearing people saying that, you know, I couldn't get out of bed after so-and-so had passed away. And I remember thinking, it sounded kind of melodramatic. Like it sounded like a, like an exaggeration. It's not. It's not an exaggeration. It really isn't. And I appreciate that grief is going to be different for everyone. But for me, it was very real. I did not want to leave my bed, ever. I remember a lot of mornings of making tea. I was obsessed with making tea. That was the other thing. It was like making tea and going into bed and just staying in bed with tea. That was what made me feel safe. If you can relate to that, let me know in the comments, or if you have another way that you were trying to feel safe at the beginning. Maybe you're in it right now. If so, I sympathize heavily. So 35, so 5 to 40. I cannot tell you how much brain power it takes for me to cut out fabric these days. It takes forever. It's very annoying. Should I be standing on this? Nope, absolutely not. Oh. My toxic trait as a sewist is that I will not buy new thread unless I absolutely have to. So I have a bunch of stuff already that is mostly thrifted. And if I can find something that more or less goes, I'm just going to use that. You know, it's fine. The blue is another story. I'm really stretching it here. This might have to be it, folks. Not buying anything. I'm not buying anything, dagnabbit. I don't know what I'm doing. This doesn't look right. Ta! So many hangers on. Whoop. One of my friends had gone through a very similar thing that I went through with my mom. They'd had a really hard time with grieving. And a lot of it had to do with they were sort of not dealing with it at the beginning. And I think that's really common. Mostly because our society doesn't want us to grieve. They want us to carry on and go to work and make money and all that stuff. And I was sort of determined not to do that. I'm a huge advocate for feeling your feelings when you can feel them. And I think that staying in bed is sometimes the answer. I think if you can stay in bed, then do it if you need to. This isn't my best zipper. But I'm learning. I am learning. She's a bit lippy, if you know what I mean. I think grief is really hard on the body. It's hard on the mind. It's like a reshuffle of your entire existence. And that's really traumatizing. Like, never mind how the person died, it's really traumatizing no matter what. And if you need rest, then rest. And that's sort of what I did. Whenever I could rest, I was doing it. And at the beginning, it was a lot. So I suppose my great insight to getting out of bed is sometimes you have to stay there for a little bit before you can get out of bed. That was my experience. I did my pocket. It's done. It looks crappy, but it's done. Next. Rosie, you want to have some lunch, baby? You want to have some lunch? We're taking a break because my brain needs sustenance. I need sustenance. Fine. Top tip for grievers is to cut up a bunch of vegetables whenever it is you feel like it and stick them in the fridge, and then you can eat vegetables. I just like fill a Tupperware with vegetables and then I eat them throughout the week. And this is a new thing for me. So whenever you have whenever you have, so tired. Whenever you have the motivation to cut some stuff, let it be veggies. When you went away, I wanted to hide. I wanted to dim the light that you turned on inside. I needed a warm room to warm my bold heart, cold from missing you. I watch the birds on my dressing gown, desperate to lift me up. I keep them on the ground. They offer a serenade, but not today. I say, sing me the blues. I've made a mistake. For me, grieving has been a lot like depression. And it's very easy for people to sort of lump those things together. For me, they're very much two separate things, but they're similar. Like right now, I'm depressed. When I first started grieving, it was very similar. That feeling of I can't get out of bed was very strong, but also I don't want to do anything. There was only a couple of things that I really felt like doing. And I think the thing that got me eventually out of it, one of them was just time, and feeling the emotions. Eventually it got easier to do things as well as feel sad and feel kind of hopeless or miss your person. But also, one of my depression tricks is whenever there's something that I feel like doing, like the other day, I was like, I really want to go get an ice cream. It was the strongest feeling I'd had all day of, I want to do this thing. I want to go get ice cream. So my husband was like, we're going to go do it. Let's go. We're doing it. And I think depression is similar to grief in that way. I think when you're grieving, if there is anything that's going to get you out of bed, follow that instinct. It doesn't have to be big. In fact, it usually isn't. But I just follow the instinct, the inspiration, and usually it helps things get easier. God, this looks mental. But it's gonna be beautiful so soon. There it is. This is so nice. This is a slouchy bag. She's slouchy. I feel like there's going to be a lot of advice that's like, just gotta think about your kids, or you just gotta think about your projects, or you just gotta think about your work, and like, what would your loved one want you to do? And all of that kind of has its place, I guess. I feel like getting out of bed is hard because everything feels really big. Everything feels really hard. The eternity, the long life I have ahead of me without my mom feels like too much, feels too big. I think that's why the safe space is so important. The bed is so important. But it's just never going to be the big things that gets us out of bed. It was never the big thing that could get me out of bed. Once I got a dog, there was that impetus to just walk the dog. And that was a small thing. It's not big things. It's the little things of, I need to take my dog for a walk, or it's, I need to get myself a glass of water, I'm thirsty, or I suddenly feel like having an ice cream. Because it's just moment by moment. Hours are too long, weeks are too long, years are too long. But moments are manageable, I think. And eventually you stay out of bed long enough to do something like this. Yeah. Anyway, I'm off to the gym. Just kidding, I'm going back to bed. Okay, bye.